Friday Leadership Deep Dive. I am Monica, leadership coach. If you haven't already been following my lives, this is the time we hang out and we discuss deep mindset topics about leadership, what's blocking us, and how to show up with more power in how we lead our teams and create more impact. So and this is also the place where you get to see me, get used to talking to a webcam, and drinking water, sipping water from this cup, amazing cup. I'll talk about this today in the live. So today I have an exciting topic for us, which is about executive presence. This is part two of how to improve your executive presence. So if you haven't watched the first part, I'll put a link in the comments. Definitely go check it out. That's where I talked about why I can never be Michelle Obama. Jokes apart, it was about how we always compare ourselves to people who inspire us and always try to get to how they behave. And that's what we think executive presence is. And I distinguished that it's more about understanding yourself and showing up with more power, where the power comes from um, a complete ownership of who you are. So we also talked about 5 steps where how you can boost your executive presence. One is clarity of what you look for in the world. We are all looking for something, and it's not necessarily that next promotion or the financial independence, but it's an internal experience that we are looking for. So I talked about, is it validation that you're a good leader? Is it about power? Is it about knowing more? Some people have this, that I want to learn more, know more, do more. Is it that kind of a situation, or is it just this intellectual stimulation, or is it about proving to yourself that you can handle certain challenges? So or there are more ways, but we talked about what you might be looking for underneath what your outside goal is. Okay, so the first step is distinguishing that, and having that clarity for yourself. Second is about cutting out your power leaks, which we will discuss in depth today. And third is, third step to showing up with more powerful executive presence is a discipline, like an intentional discipline in your leadership, in your intentions and actions. We'll talk about that too. And then the fourth is a certain swiftness to bold conversations. And the fifth one is trusting yourself to make powerful decisions despite your self doubt. So these four, trusting yourself and the swiftness to bold conversations, we'll discuss in the next slides. Okay, so let's jump in to talk about power leaks and a discipline today. So before we talk about that, I want to lay out a concept called survival algorithm. Once we lay this out, we'll be able to distinguish what actually leaking power means and what actually discipline is. Discipline is not just like um, being very on point about doing what I say I'll do, and keeping my word. It's not just about that. There's more to it. So in order to kind of get to that, I want to lay out some foundation, if you will. So, powerful executive presence, you might have heard, is also about responding, not reacting. Okay, there is this old adage, right? Respond, don't react. And then people who look very this sorted and thoughtful and um, with that charisma, they feel like they're in control. They don't just react out of their instinctual patterns, but they really think about something and respond like on point. Have you come across those people? You might have, right? So I believe that this, even though it's very common to say, like respond, don't react, but we are not always able to do that. It comes because we don't have the gap between our programmed response and our intentional response. Like creating that gap and creating that capacity, even in high stake situations, even when emotions are running high, requires examining, understanding, and working with your survival algorithm. So we all grow up in certain conditions. Okay, we are born in a certain family, we are brought up in a certain way. Maybe we have certain interactions with siblings, and um, we belong to certain culture, countries, different societal expectations, and different like moral conditioning as well. All of this shape us into who we are today, right? And that's what gives that unique flavor to whatever we do. And it's great because not every problem can be solved by the conventional stereotype of an executive, which is why we all love DNI initiatives, right? But the point I'm trying to make here is that all of this uh, growing up and programming has conditioned our responses in a certain way. So, for example, um, if all I have heard in my life growing up is like when I say I want something, and somebody like if you grew up in a kind of a middle class family, if I say I want something, there will always be some reasoning about why you can't have that. Like, no, you can't have that because, no, you can't have this because, no, you can't do this because society, it's not acceptable in the society. So when I keep hearing this no again and again and again, I am programmed to react next time. Not even react, right? Even before I react, when a situation starts to present itself that there might be a no coming, I am already like perked up, like, okay, there is a no coming, I know how to react here, and my defenses are up. And then I kind of am either like too pushy, or I can go really make myself small so that the other person doesn't get disappointed. And this is how, like, this is what is a survival system, because it makes me feel safe, right? It ensured a certain approval from my caregiver, like my parents or the society around me or the peers. And some of these behaviors can also come from, come genetically or by observation. Let's say my sibling has been told a certain thing again and again and again. For me not to hear that, I already behave in the opposite way so that I'm not told the same thing. So all, like, things like this shape our impulsive reactions today. So this is what you kind of train yourself to show up in the world. And you are like, in a way, you're writing your own program of what is acceptable and not acceptable in the society. That is your survival programming. I'll give you another example of that. Let's say you are a person of amazing brilliance, right? Your intellectual capabilities are really high. And then every time you walked into a room and made a really unique observation that other people are not seeing, other people feel kind of some people might not even get what you're saying, so they just kind of brush you off. Or they might feel dumb in your presence, as in, they feel, wow, you're so brilliant, why am I not like that? And they have their own response to that. So you see a certain response to making like sharp amazing observations. Sometimes women have this, right, when they are too smart for certain guys they are dating, they kind of dumb themselves down. So, on hearing these responses, a person of brilliance sometimes can, like, the survival mechanism of a person of brilliance becomes such that they show themselves as less smarter than people around them. On the other hand, for some people it can it can show up in a different way, like over express that brilliance. Why are people not getting this at all? So they don't like, I'm not getting the approval and love I want, so let me just show how smart I am. So then this person will go, walk around, trying to make brilliant observations just to get that hit of validation every time. So that there's like the under expression and the over expression, and then we just get programmed like that, and uh, we keep following the same routines again and again. So that's what I say, when I talk about survival systems. And what happens when you get into corporate and when you're trying to make something happen, like a project happen, work, you are working in a team, working with peers, you get all this stuff as feedback. Right, when I consider myself as a brilliant person, and then somebody comes and tells me that, oh, you're just a show off, you always keep telling us how smart you are even though we know what you're saying. That's like kind of feedback that you get, like that's like the unsaid part of the feedback. The actual productive, cleaned up part of the feedback that people get is, you you explain unnecessarily, or you go into long-winded stories, or something like, you come across as too strong and push hard on your ideas. This is the feedback that happens because they are looking at your survival system, and it's by no fault of yours. You have programmed yourself in a certain to behave in a certain way. So that's why when you try to address this feedback, when people say, okay, you come across as too strong, right, and you try to, in maybe like you move to a different team, and then you try to, not come across as too strong, so you're kind of laid back, and then you get the feedback that, oh, you can, express more, I don't see you expressing more. So you see how you are always like in the extremes of this, but not actually making any, um, when you try to do this on your own, you're not actually shifting your patterns. So that's why we excuse me, it means that I need to take a sip of water. Okay, so you see how we can struggle and keep, go like a pendulum between one or the other behavior. This is because our survival systems have kicked in, and if somebody tells us something, we know that that is not acceptable right now, we try to do the opposite, but it's more of the same. You're not changing the root of the behavior of, um, why you are, like, you as a brilliant person, why do you need to assert your brilliance? It's more about like owning what you are, and then presenting that without requiring any validation from others. So, I have another story. to kind of nail this point on why this survival system is so important. When I was in high school, I I had a goal. For whatever reason, I had this goal that I need to get into this top engineering college, one of the top engineering colleges in India. If you are from India, you know it's called the IITs. Even people here know a lot of people from IITs come here. They're brilliant set of people. So it, for whatever reason, I had the goal that I need to get there. So I worked extremely hard. I used to study late into the night till 2 a.m. so that I get in, I crack this exam and then get in there. It was a really difficult exam. um, Around like a million people apply and like only 8,000 get in, right? So it was very tough. So then that kind of gave me this motivation to even work even harder. So I would work so hard and then burn out a little bit and not work at all. So that was the cycle I was in, but I still pushed myself hard and then tried to crack it. um, Side story, I didn't get into IIT, but I got into the next best in India. That's a story for another time. So then when I was in college, my next goal was to get into this top MBA college. Okay, same pattern. Work really hard, and then burn out a little bit, take a break, then work really hard, feel guilty, work really hard, and then feel guilty a little bit, and then work really hard. And then okay, that happened. Then now when I got into masters, um, the next goal I had was getting into one of the FANG companies. Okay, interview preparation. So same pattern again. Then I became a coach. Then it was about getting clients. Then same pattern again. Work hard, network hard, write hard. Okay. So you see how every time the goal changes, the circumstances around me changed. Right now, I have a nice house, nice car. Um, I have a sweet partner and a sweet daughter. But then I'm living the same life again and again and again. Like when I look back, the experience that I'm living with is no different from the experience that I was living when I was in high school. It's the same pattern of working hard, burning out a little bit, taking a break, and then working really hard, pushing myself. So, what happens is that it's almost like taking rebirth, living the same life. Isn't that crazy? Right? Like everything changes around me, but my life is the same. I'm stuck in the same loop. I mean, there is nothing wrong with it. All of that has gotten me where I am today, right? I have gratitude for that. But then, do I want to keep living the same life again and again going forward? So, for you, this might look like you have done all of this, and then the same cycle is repeating for you in the next goal, right? Whether that is a promotion to next leadership position, or whether that is having a certain kind of experience around you, like upgrading your home, um, or it can be something else. Okay, I'm lost for examples here. What I really mean is that we keep living the same lives again because of our survival system. We think that we are being intentional about the goals that we are setting. We have these amazing OKRs, visions developed, but all of that is coming from the same survival system that is actually going to take us on that journey. It's actually coming from our programming rather than intention. we are not intentional even when we think we are. It's it's um it's really crazy to be um to actually reflect back and think about, divide your life into 5 years. Last 5 years, what did I do? After that, before that, what did I do? It would just, when it clicks, it hits you. Okay, what do I do next? Even that question comes from your survival system. So when we don't have space for actually, try to be different in the way we are um, going after our goals, like it's like a relationship to work itself, it's my relationship to my goal itself, that's coming from my programming. If we don't change that relationship, you live the same experience again. And because we are not able to shift that relationship, we do not have the capacity to respond. We have limited capacity, and then most of our bandwidth or capacity goes into reacting to situations from our programmed responses. Now there can be a whole debate about whether there is a free will at all, or we can get into that um, dialogue. But here my point is that you feel blocked in your career or in your executive presence because of the programming that got you here. That programming is not going to get you to the next level. Maybe it will if you work harder, stronger, faster, but without, like, it will have certain consequences, like burning you out, health issues, or losing people around you. Like, you can imagine what it can be. So now, how is this all related to executive presence? So for me, right, when I realize this, I'm still going after my next goal. Okay, the goal doesn't change, but my journey changes, because I'm working with my coach to distinguish and change my relationship to work itself. I want to come from a place of play rather than hard work, because I'm a person who is very used to high achieving and hardworking. I don't want to, going forward, I don't want to have that experience again. I want to come from a sense of play, fun, and joy. Even if I have that intention, my reactions in the moment do not align to that. So when I keep distinguishing that and work with my coach, my relationship slowly shifts. And then the breakthrough right now that I'm having is um, actually looking at why why I should work hard at all. You know, like, what does it take for me to want to do something just for the sake of it, instead of the goal that I'm looking for. For me, it's always about, like, proving to myself that I can do something. So if I don't need to fulfill um, um, that wish of trying to prove to myself, how will my relationship change? So right now I'm experimenting with that. And I can say for sure that it has shifted a lot for me. Like, right now, when I suddenly start seeing work as hard work, that's when I know that, okay, I'm getting into that older programming. Let me reorient back to play. I want to play. It sounds like very abstract, but it's a real change in how you live your life, like how you feel. There is like a 10% more freedom, 10% more power in the way that you do things. We think that we want power over circumstances, But what we are actually craving is power over our own response to circumstances. Because we cannot change others, we cannot change the reality, we can only change ourselves, right? But as you must have found, uh, even that statement of we can only change ourselves is also not true. We cannot. We are just kind of helpless when it comes to that. Even like our best self awareness is not enough to create that change. So when you train yourself to recognize your survival system and get out of it a little bit, like create more gaps, there's like no guarantee that you will, like, let me tell you right off the bat, there is no, as long as you're a human, you will operate out of your programming and your survival system. But imagine if you can get that 10% more freedom, and that is totally possible. So it's like, you when you distinguish it, it's like you get to watch the train from the platform instead of getting on the train itself. So you respond with intention. When you do that, you will come across as having so much confidence and charisma. So I always say confidence is not something you gain, it's the byproduct of doing this work, developing this capacity to see your own behavior and being with more of who you are and less of who you programmed yourself to be. So, what's the action, right? I want to leave you with this inquiry. Look for where you are leaking your power because of the way you are programmed. What this means is, because of how you respond to people all the time, where are you putting all the onus on the circumstance and other people rather than looking at your own reaction and your own algorithm? So are you focusing too much on your goals, or are other people determining where your energy goes? Or like, what is your relationship to hard work? What is your relationship to a goal? What is your relationship to your own responses, or responses slash reactions? What is your relationship to yourself? This, whatever this relationship is, that is taking away power from your presence. And when you are intentional, when you shift this relationship, people see that, like, this person just, there's something about them. I don't understand what that is. They just appear more free. They don't, they kind of don't care about what I think, but at the same time care about me. Like, you can't put your finger on it when you do this kind of work. So then the second um, thing that I have for you is looking at your discipline. So discipline is about, are your intentions and actions aligned? Like, a lot of people, I have spoken to, they say that, I just want to exercise or do this work, write that document, but when the time comes, I just can't make myself. I have gone through that too. Like, I go through that daily, right? So what is standing between that intention, like the good intention, and the action? And then there is, of course, the impact, right? What is the kind of impact you're creating? That's the feedback loop for you to change your actions. So for the reflection on discipline, What is standing between your intention and action? What is that resistance about? Again, look at that resistance, look at the relationships you have, the relationships I just talked about, relationship to your responses, reactions, relationship to others, relationship to hard work, relationship to your goals, relationship to yourself. How do you see yourself? How do you want to be seen? How do you want others to see you? So is that what is causing this resistance? Take a look at that. So that will clarify for you what is holding you back from that powerful presence. So that's what I have for you today. So I have two plugs. One is, if you have resonated with this, if you feel like your survival system is getting in front of you while you're pursuing while you're playing your next game in your career, reach out to me and we'll talk. I have designed a 2-week program where you can distinguish all of this for yourself and then set goals and projects that actually make sense and that are intentional for you, not just driving from the same old behavior, not just driven from the same old behavior. Mixing tenses here. So that's the first plug. And second plug is, I often mention that I work with a teacher, and she's coming to Seattle, and she has a workshop which is about digging into your subconscious mind and then creating these shifts. Like what I do is in the realm of career and a little bit of life, but what she teaches is even deeper than that. And for me, what it has done is created like so much freedom in my life, like, and that I feel these moments of flow, like I was in a complete kind of overpowered and victim mindset, and I am that this technique that she taught me completely overturned that. So when I have moments of frustration or challenge or um, disappointment, it takes me where it used to take me like 3-4 days to kind of recuperate from that, it takes me like a day max or an afternoon to now get back to my creative self. That's because I know like how my survival system works, what's going on, and how to reframe things differently so that I'm not at the mercy of it. So it's a lot of change that one simple system can create, and she's going to teach that in Seattle. So if you're around in this area, or even if you're in another city, and if you want to be a part of it, reach out. I will be there myself, so I'll be happy to meet you. So just send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be really happy to chat with you and see what you're up to and discuss if there's anything that I can help you with. All right, then. That's all for today's live. Next week, we are going to discuss about how to improve your swiftness to bold conversations and how to improve your decision making ability. So it's coming more from a place of objectivity and not not from a place of emotional compulsion. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.